Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Tarot Thursday. I'm your host, Reverend Mary Hawk, and with me is Reverend Don Lewis.
Hello, hello.
And thank you so much for joining me tonight, Reverend Don.
It is my pleasure.
And as usual, if you have a question for us, go ahead and post it in chat. I see we've got one already. And we will do a 3-card, more or less, reading for you. Hope everyone has had a great 2 weeks. We were not here last week because we were attending the Correllian Lustration last weekend here in Nashville, and it was certainly good to see you in person.
Yes, indeed. It was a lovely weekend.
And it was, and we were just laughing. We were taking a selfie outside the hotel, and a young man offered to take it for us and then said he hoped he'd look as good as we do when he reached our age. We're not sure how old he thinks we are. And hello to Reverend Michael, hello to Lena, and hello to SWAT Fan. And Lena has asked for a reading on finances for the next 6 months. And SWAT Fan wants a general reading. So we'll start out with Lena's reading. We were just saying maybe we should have asked him how old he thinks we are, and maybe we were better off leaving well enough alone.
We were better off leaving well enough alone. I think we can be pretty certain of that. So the first card I have drawn is the King of Lamps. The King of Lamps is meditation and self-knowledge. So in terms of finances for Lena in the next 6 months, you're going to want to keep your eye on them. You're going to want to pay careful attention to what expenditures you need and what expenditures you don't. And make sure you're getting what you need, but don't be indulging. Be cautious. With that, we have the Ten of Lamps. The Ten of Lamps is personal mastery, so it suggests you'll be in a good position, but don't overindulge while you're in that good position. And then the third card is the Lovers. The Lovers says that you're going to have a choice, and I'm assuming this is a financial choice because it's a financial question. So as you go through this period, you may be looking at different ways to move forward, different financial possibilities. And I'm kind of inclined to say, use this good period to save up for that and be ready for it, to make the decision you truly want. And in terms of making that decision, we go back to the King of Lamps, which is self-knowledge. Choose what you want and what will get you what you desire. And there you go.
All right, the first card I have is the Seven of Pentacles. And this says you're going to have some choices to make around your finances. You're going to have several options, and you are going to have to decide between them. I have the Ace of Cups. Now, cups are around our emotions. So you're going to be emotional around these choices, and don't let your emotions overrule you. And then I've got the King of Lamps as well. So this is about self-knowledge, as Reverend Don said. So be aware of what you need. All right. And Reverend Michael says, I hope everyone is in good health. I am. I have recovered from the weekend. I did spend Monday in bed, basically, snoozing.
I can't imagine why that would be.
Hi to Benji. Welcome. And hello to Elle. Elle has asked for a reading of what to avoid in the next 3 months. So we've got SWAT Fans general reading and then Elle's reading. Yes, Lena, it's good. Just be wise in your choices.
Ooh. So for SWACFan, I have drawn first the Magus. The Magus is working your will in the situation. It says you can do whatever you want to do, but you must also decide what it is you want to do and proceed along the resulting path. You have the ability, you have the knowledge, you have everything you need to be able to do what you need to do and what you desire to do. You just have to be clear on what it is. With that, we have the Queen of Coins, which kind of suggests that what it is financial. And financial prosperity doesn't necessarily mean money as such, but prosperity, plenty, material well-being, those things are going to be very prominent around you in the near future. You'll be very able to handle them, very able to acquire them and manipulate them. And finally, we have time. Time can mean a number of things, but one of the things it means is that the more things change, the more they stay the same. But at the same time, the only constant is change. So understand you're going to be in a nice, good period, but it won't be forever. Things come, they go. You build, then you have to build again. So don't get too attached to things. Don't get locked in by them. But it looks like a good situation. Just realize there's always change underneath. And there you go.
All right. So I have the Queen of Wands. And her wisdom is follow what you're passionate about. So you're going to find your success in doing the things you're passionate about. I have the King of Pentacles, so this suggests that you are going to do well in the material realm. And I have the Prince of Swords. And the Prince of Swords says it's okay to be a little selfish and do the things you want to do. Practice self-care. You can't help anyone else if your own well is dry. So I hope that is helpful. And Cosmos Healing, Spiritual Alchemy, and Liminal Green Witchery says, Happy Thursday, witch buddies. Happy Thursday to you, and I'm going to call you Cosmos.
Yeah.
Because that's just a mouthful.
Yes, happy Thursday, Cosmos. So what was
our
next one?
Our next one is Elle wants to know what to avoid in the next 3 months. Cosmos says you can't help anyone else as your well is dry. Boom. And being called Cosmos is perfect. It's an honor.
Okay.
Awesome.
So my first card for Elle is the Nine of Swords. And in terms of what Elle must avoid in the next 3 months, it's whatever she's worried about. I would assume that Elle already knows what it is. And yeah, I mean, it's there. However, the point of the Nine of Swords is, yes, it's a real thing. It's natural to have some worry about it. Don't let it psych you out. So what it is that you know or will know that you need to be careful around, don't take it for being worse than it is. It's called the Ghastly Nightmare card because the danger is that you will hurt yourself falling out of bed trying to get away from it. The nightmare itself can't hurt you at all. So it's saying that, yes, there's a situation here you need to be very careful of, you need to be mindful of, but don't try to avoid it. Deal with it sensibly and don't let it freak you out. With that, we have the Eight of Wands, and the Eight of Wands says it's also going to move very quickly when it moves. Be prepared for that. And be prepared for the situation before it's in front of you and move quickly when it comes. The Ace of Wands is passion and focus. And whatever this is about is something you care about very much. And use that passion in dealing with it. I'm going to draw one more because we must occasionally have a Brian card. And I've drawn the Four of Cups. And the Four of Cups says, all things considered, it's not a bad situation you're going to find yourself in during this period. It's just not everything you want it to be. There are things that you would rather were going differently. But the things that are happening, they're not really bad. They just take a little focus in dealing with. So that's what I would say to you. So in terms of what you should avoid in this coming, I believe it was 3 months, you know what it is, or you certainly will know what it is. And don't necessarily think so much in terms of avoiding it as dealing with it in the obvious ways. Don't let it freak you out. And there you go.
All right. So, Elle, the first card I have for you is the Hanged Man. And here we have Odin hanging on Yggdrasil for the 9 days and 9 nights to gain the wisdom of the runes. So, this card carries the idea that anything worth having is going to require some sacrifice. Next, we have the Queen of Swords. Yeah, it's me. When Reverend Don did the Kickstarter for this deck, one of the options was to commission a card, and the Queen of Swords has been representing me for about 20 years now. So I asked him to draw me as the Queen of Swords. And the wisdom of this card is that consider your current situation or the things that come up in the next 3 months in light of what worked in similar situations before and what didn't work before, and be guided by that. And I've got the Queen of Wands again, second time tonight. And she's about following your passion. So, in terms of what to avoid, I'm going to say really avoid things that just didn't work in the past. And be aware that anything you really want will come at a price. to avoid it, but be aware that it will come at a price. So I hope that is helpful. And before we move on to our next reading, Benji states, I heard something I'm sure you didn't say, which is they're always chicken genders.
What? the, the chicken what?
Genders. And no, I have not said anything about chicken genders tonight, Benji.
Well, like all other things, chicken genders come in a continuum.
I'm not sure what I said that you heard as chicken genders, but no.
You must have been mentioning those Nashville hot chicken tenders.
No.
You know, the ones that were
We have not even discussed the hot chicken tenders. And yes, Brian is doing well.
Yes.
So, Elle, I hope the readings were helpful for you. SWAT fan says, Reverend Mary, the next event you're having in Tennessee, I'd love to visit. Well, that is going to be Nashville Pagan Pride Day, which will be Saturday, October 11th. Love to have you.
Yeah.
Eve says howdy. Good to
Howdy,
see
Eve.
you, Eve. Lucas says hi, or good evening. Good to see you. Anita. Hey, Anita. Good evening, family. Love your vibe tonight, Reverend Mary. That hat and hair are spectacular. And loving the bow tie, Reverend Don.
Thank you.
So dapper. And she says the Tennessee barbecue was terrific. Yes, it was.
Yes.
And Reverend Michael is asking for a reading about his spiritual path for the next few months.
Okay.
And SWAT fan says, wow, my birthday month. Well, come to Nashville for your birthday. All right, spiritual path for Reverend Michael. Yes, the barbecue was terrific, Anita. The hot chicken tenders were good. Well, I had garlic parmesan that was good, and Reverend Don didn't think they were all that hot.
Yeah. Didn't say they weren't good. I just didn't think they were very hot.
I took him for Nashville hot chicken, and he didn't think it was all that hot. I don't know what I'm going to do.
Now, those two sauces, they were hot. So if we ever went back there again, I would have to get the sauce and put it over the chicken, and everything would be fine.
And Benji says October is her birthday month too.
Oh, cool.
April is my birthday month.
So the first card I have drawn for Michael is the Ten of Wands. And the Ten of Wands is patience. Be aware that the answers that you're looking for may take their time to come. But, you know, this is part of life. So be patient. Let it take the time that it needs to take the form it requires. With that, we have the Princess of Coins. And the Princess of Coins says, well, yes, that's true. But at the same time, you really kind of already know what you're looking for. You already kind of know what you know what you're asking. You're just not quite ready to move with it. So part of why you need the patience, part of what you're waiting for is your own choice to move forward, to do what it is you know you need to do. And then our third card is the Six of Coins. And the Six of Coins is getting help from another person or from the universe. And it says that, yeah, be patient, it's coming. It will come within this period that you're asking about. And there's no particular advice on what it is because you already know. But what you need to do is wait for the right little push to send you forward. And that's what I get. So there you go.
All right. So the first card I have for you, Michael, is Death. So, and of course, death is actually transformation. So,
I was reading the comments. Keep going.
You're actually looking at a big change. I have the Fluffy, which, this is about taking a circumstance like an amputation that might not be so great and using that energy for transformation. And finally, I've got Fortune. So this means a gift of luck from the gods. So you're going to see a big change coming your way and a chance to take a circumstance that isn't so great and use that energy to make some real changes in your life. So I hope you find that useful. And we are at this point caught up on readings. Anita is talking about the food she ate while she was here for lustration.
Yeah.
And Lucas has asked for a general reading.
Okay.
And we do this as a service, but if anyone would like to give us a tip, you can send that to my PayPal at maryhawk1968@gmail.com.
Or book a full reading if you like.
Yeah.
So my first card for Lucas is the Ten of Wands. The Ten of Wands, again, is patience. Be patient. Let things take the time they need to come into focus. With that, we have the Eight of Wands, which is speed. It's kind of weird to have patience and speed together, but I would take that to mean that it's like the old commercial about ketchup. It either doesn't come out at all or it all comes out at once. So expect to find yourself waiting for everything to come together, and then it will happen fast. And then our third card is the Ace of Wands. And we've seen all of these cards in previous readings tonight, but not together in the same way, at least. And the Ace of Wands is passion and focus. So it's saying you're going to be in a position where you're working on the things that are very important to you, things that have meaning in your life, things that you care about and have passion for. And you're just kind of waiting for things to move. And when they do, they're going to move very quickly. Now I'm going to draw a Brian card because of course I'm going to draw a Brian card. And I've drawn the Four of Wands. And the Four of Wands is celebration and community. And it's saying that when things do move, they'll move very quickly, but they'll be moving into a very good situation. So expect a good outcome, expect to be happy with where you end up. And there you go.
All right. So, I've got the Fluffy. So, I just explained this to you, but the Fluffy means you're going to have the opportunity to take a negative situation and turn it into something positive. I have the Queen of Pentacles, which is being in a good position in the material realm. And I have the Prince of Lamps. And the Prince of Lamps says, take it easy on yourself. So don't blame yourself if something's going wrong. And go easy on yourself at this point in time. And Eve has asked for a general reading. But before we do this, Anita wants to know about the deck the Fluffy is from. You want to answer that, Reverend Don, or do you want me to?
Why don't you answer that?
Okay, well, I am using the Tarot of Hecate. You are welcome, Lucas. The Infinity. The Infinite Tarot version that Reverend Don released, about 3 years ago now, I think. When he did the Kickstarter for it, one of the options was to commission a card. I commissioned the Queen of Swords, and my dear friend Fluffy commissioned the Fluffy card. Other people commissioned other cards, and these are the two I happen to have in my deck. And I believe those cards only came out with that particular iteration of the deck.
No.
Am I correct on that?
Yes.
So you cannot get those cards now.
Okay, so general reading for Eve.
Yes, general reading for Eve
is Temperance. Temperance is creating new things out of old things. So in the more or less immediate future, the next few weeks or so, you're going to be looking at things around you and rejuvenating them. Kind of upcycling life. This is not so much bringing in a bunch of new things, but creating new situations out of what's already there. So it's very much about recycling, reclaiming, rejuvenating the things around you. With that, we have the High Priestess. The High Priestess says, pay attention to your spiritual guidance while you're doing that. You'll find you are being spiritually guided. You'll find that you can trust your spiritual guidance and kind of let that inner voice guide you to do what you need to do in terms of that rejuvenation, in terms of making things new, making them better. And then our third card is the Seven of Cups. And the Seven of Cups says, make sure you're clear in what you're looking at as you're doing this. Do not allow yourself to be overwhelmed by either your hopes or your fears, but look honestly at what you're dealing with, and everything will go much better. And for a Brian card, we shall draw the Ace of Wands again. And the Ace of Wands says, this will be something very important to you. This is a very important time in your life. And the things that you're rejuvenating and giving new life to are things that you care very much about. So it looks to me like a very good period. Just make sure that you're looking honestly at what you're seeing, and everything should go well. And there you go.
All right. So the first card I've got is the King of Pentacles, and this indicates doing well in the material realm and especially reaping the rewards of things that you have been working towards. I have the Lovers, and this indicates a choice. You are going to have to make a choice between good options. So think it through carefully. And I have the Ace of Wands. So I always read this card as follow your passions. And I'm going to draw a Brian card, and I get the Six of Swords. So you have a journey coming up, and I get the feeling this is more of a spiritual or mental journey than a physical journey. It has more, yeah. I'm not feeling physical movement, it's more spiritual or mental movement. So think of it in that way, and I hope that is helpful to you, Eve.
Yes, indeed.
And Anita says, thank you. And Benji says, well, happy birthday month to you, Reverend Mary, and thank you. And then could I get a reading, please? Follow up to last week. I asked about relationship barriers and solutions to blockages. Signs can say to keep doing what I'm doing and it'll resolve, even though I see no progress. So I have been. So I'll go for it, but we're caught up on reading, so I'll go for it just in case. So it's for whether there's anything I need to do for my situation's trajectory, and if so, any details on what? There's too much to go on. Need some more specific direction. Thanks. Alrighty.
Okay, well, I have drawn 3 cards. First card I have drawn is the Eight of Swords. The Eight of Swords is kind of described in the lead up to the question. The Eight of Swords is feeling like you're held back or you can't do anything to move things along faster. Given the nature of the question, I would read this as a need for patience. Understand that you may not be able to speed anything up. You just have to let it take its time. But it's followed by the Eight of Wands, which is speed. And kind of like an earlier question, it's going to wait, it's going to wait, it's going to wait, and then it's going to move all at once. So be aware that when development comes, it's going to come very quickly, maybe unexpectedly, and will go very fast. And it's followed by the Ten of Swords, which says that when that change comes, it's going to be a great change to the situation. The ending of some of the older parts and the beginning of new parts. It will be very much a turnover when everything moves. And then for a Brian card, the Prince of Lamps. And the Prince of Lamps as Mary said earlier, basically says go easy on yourself. Don't be patient. Don't try to force it. Let it take its time. It is coming. When it comes, it will come quickly. And do not let it psych you out while you're waiting for it. And that's what I would say to you. So there you go.
So I have the veil. And with the veil, you're going to find out, or something's going to be revealed to you, or the situation is going to make itself clear. I have the future. And this card is based on the story of Daedalus and Icarus, which you remember. Daedalus used his wax wings wisely and flew to safety. Icarus flew too close to the sun. The wax melted and he fell to his death in the sea. So, proceed forward wisely. Don't get your wax wings too close to the sun. And then I have the Four of Wands. Now, this card traditionally means success and happiness. We also have a wedding going on here. So, and you are asking about relationships, so we can, interpret it literally according to the picture that you will find a happy relationship. So proceed as you are. And I think you're going to get some insight on where your blockage is.
Yeah.
So I hope that is helpful. And Eve, you are welcome. And we are caught up at this point.
Oh my, oh my.
All right. Well, do we want to continue with our tradition of drawing a few cards about the state of our country? And hello to Magnus.
Hello, Magnus. Sure, we can do that.
You're welcome, Benji.
Yes, indeed.
And Magnus is from Brazil. Welcome.
Welcome.
Or how do we want to do this? Where our country is going in the next 3 months?
Sure.
All righty then.
Well, it's better than it could be. First card I've drawn is the Magus. The second is the Four of Coins. And the third is the Four of Cups. The Magus represents the ability to do what you want to do. The ability to really to move forward in any direction. In terms of a question like this, I'm going to interpret that to mean that people can take the actions they feel they need to take in whatever directions they want to go in their own lives. that whatever is happening in this 3 months will not prevent them from following their own path at this time, at least by and large. It's followed by the Four of Coins, which says more of the same, stasis. So a stable, unstable period. And followed by the Four of Cups, which says, for the ordinary person, it will seem worse than it actually is. It's not necessarily going to be a bad situation for people, but it's not everything that people want it to be. And then let me draw a Brian card. I've drawn the Five of Swords. The house is burning. Big deal. It will continue burning. Conflict. There will be continuing high emotions during this period, but the actual situation is more stable than it may at first appear. And of course, that's a general reading, not necessarily an individual one. But anyway, there you go.
So my first card is the past. And this card means don't hold on to things that no longer serve you. So be prepared to let go of what's just not working anymore. Then I've got the Nine of Swords, the ghastly nightmare, which means the situation is not as bad as we think it is, or we fear it is. Basically, the only way the nightmare can hurt you is if you roll out of bed and whack your head. Then I've got the Three of Wands. And the Three of Wands means getting help from someone else, moving forward. So I'm going to suggest, probably because this is something I'm big on, is building community. That's always floating around in my subconscious as a good situation. Okay, I'm back.
You vanished.
I know, but I'm back. So with the Three of Wands, it's moving forward, but with the help of others. So build community. And I'm also drawing a Brian card. And I have the Princess of Pentacles. And the Princess of Pentacles says we've got the resources to do what we need to do. We have to believe in ourselves and do it.
There you go.
Yeah. Alrighty then.
So Benji thought my reaction to drawing the Five of Swords was amusing.
Yeah. And before we did our readings, Magnus says, I've been studying remotely for a few months. My English isn't fluent, but I'm loving the tradition. Blessed be.
Oh, how wonderful. Blessed be.
Blessed be indeed. All right. Okay, does anyone else have a question for us?
Let's not all ask at once. So it was a lovely weekend.
It was indeed. The visit to the cemetery was interesting.
Yes, indeed. I always prefer visiting cemeteries when I can leave afterwards.
Ah,
Now, the next question is, how do we build a pyramid in Danville?
well, you did mention an obelisk rather than a pyramid. We visited Mount Olivet Cemetery, one of the oldest cemeteries in Nashville. One of the graves we visited is that of Eugene Lewis. He is responsible for the creation of Centennial Park here in Nashville and for the creation of the Parthenon, where the statue of Athena is. And he he was a 33rd degree Mason, and he had himself buried in a pyramid shaped tomb guarded by sphinxes.
I want one of those.
It faces due north.
Except my sphinxes will have specific people's faces. Because what's the point of having a sphinx if you can't say, oh, that's so-and-so? Of course, for all I know, those could have been specific people. I just don't know who they were.
This is true. Well, they look the same to me.
Well, that's why I didn't really think they were, but maybe they were twins.
Right. So, yes, how do we get you? Well, Benji, we've already done one reading for you, so we don't usually do more than one reading.
But Magnus
Anita
is talking about. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was going to say Magnus is talking about joining an intensive English class so that they don't miss any of the lessons or live sessions, and that in Brazil, they commonly learn English, but not nearly with the same fluency as they do Spanish. So that will be cool.
Yes. And Anita says, this tradition has literally saved my life. I'm so honored to be part of this sacred family.
But we're happy to have you here.
Yes, we are.
And
Anita, go ahead. Your turn to speak.
Oh, I just said it.
She also says the story you read about the statue of Athena was fascinating.
It was, especially the McDonald's part.
So there is a presentation on the website of the Parthenon here in Nashville about the making of the statue of Athena. And one of the tidbits of information, my favorite tidbit of information, is that her spear is a recycled McDonald's flagpole. Alan McGuire, the sculptor that created the statue, was on his way to his studio and he passed a McDonald's where they were putting up a circle of flagpoles. And he thought, well, that flagpole is about the length that I'm thinking of for the spear for Athena. So McDonald's donated the spear. So, yeah.
Yeah. You'd never know if you didn't know.
No, I just found that fascinating. It wound up
yeah.
being much lighter than the wooden pole.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's interesting when you study sculpture, particularly plaster sculptures, the kind of things they sometimes use for armatures. They aren't necessarily what you expect. I think the most interesting one I remember was one of the great British country houses, which has really intricate plaster work. It was pointed out that what they did to do that is they took actual things, musical instruments, hats, etc., basically glued them on the wall and covered them with plaster. And they came out looking very realistic because they were. I would never have expected that.
So yeah, that I just wish the Parthenon had been open so everyone could have seen the presentation in person.
Yeah.
But that's Jason's fault.
Yes. I remember going there with you.
Pagan Pride Day.
Yeah, it was Pagan Pride Day of a couple of years ago. It's absolutely beautiful.
That is.
And we have video on Magic TV of that experience.
We do.
We gave a nice little invocation in front of the statue and everything.
Yeah, and I assumed you and Phoenix and Alyssa were going to do it again.
Yeah, I pretty much think that is what would have happened. But but instead, we went to the cemetery and did our things there, which was very cool.
It was. And had a beautiful day for ritual.
Yes.
In front of our ritual tree.
Yes.
We had the lustration ritual at Two Rivers Park, where Nashville Pagan Pride Day is. And we had it in front of the tree that was donated by Nashville Pagan Pride Day, because the original tree had to be taken down due to disease. And it was blessed by Reverend Don and several other pagan clergy when we planted it.
Was watered with the blood of Chad Blackman.
Bless his heart. We dropped it on his toe when we took. when it was, I shouldn't say we, because I was not one of the people taking it out of the truck, but it got dropped on his toe.
Poor Chad.
But yes,
So
we
the tree has grown
planted it.
better for it.
We planted it there. We created a access point for the great crystal web under it.
Yeah, it's growing very nicely.
Yes, when I was at the park a couple of weeks ago, Dare only had a leaf or two, but he looked amazing.
Oh yes. Yeah, this weekend he was fully greened out.
Yes, he's. I don't know if you touched him or not, but he has quite a bit of energy.
Yes. And if you haven't seen the photos from the event, they're all over our Facebook pages.
Yes, you can check Reverend Don's page, my page. And Anita asked, did we see Reverend Tony's sunburn? It's a starburst from a circlet. It's epic. Yes, it's a sun on his circlet. He has a sun symbol, and it, because of his sunburn, it's still there.
He has a sunburn.
Magnus says, I'm here with my street corner English trying to figure you guys out. Magnus, I am seeing, if at least on some of our pages we are closed captioned in English. I don't know if that would help you. We're not closed captioned in Portuguese, unfortunately. I read Spanish better than I speak it, so I just throw that out. But we are coming to the top of the hour, so we will go ahead and close out. Would you give us our closing prayer, please, Reverend Don?
Of course. Divine Mother Goddess, Divine Father God, beloved ancestors, we thank you for all that you do for us in our lives, and we ask you to continue to guide us and lead us forward. Help us to know the things that we need to know, to see the things that we need to see, to have the answers that we desire, to the questions that are in our minds as we go forward in this beautiful world that we inhabit. Help us not to be frightened by the many things that are happening, but to maintain our poise and our direction as we move forward in the paths of spirit. Beloved Mother Goddess, beloved Father God, beloved ancestors, we thank you with great love. Knowing you are always with us, still from respect, we thank you for your presence, and may you be blessed now and always. And may you be blessed now and always.
Blessed be everyone. Thank you for joining us, and we'll be back next week for Tarot Thursday.
Blessed be.